And we are in line 17. But they sinned even more against him by rebelling against the Most High in the wilderness. And they tested God in their heart by asking for the food of their fancy. Yes, they spoke against God. They said, "Can God prepare a table in the wilderness?" Behold, he struck the rock so that the waters gushed out and the streams overflowed. Can he give bread also? Can he provide meat for his people? Just testing and testing and testing God. God is God. He doesn't need to be tested. We're human beings. We're the ones who need to be tested by God. God doesn't have to prove his love to us, but we have to prove our love to God. Let's elaborate on 17. But they sinned even more against him by rebelling against the Most High in the wilderness. And so this sends us to Hebrews 3:16. Hebrews 3:16 that says, "For who having heard rebelled? Indeed, was it not all who came out of Egypt by Moses?" And so this sends us to Numbers 14:2 and 11, 14:2, 11, and 30. So Numbers 14 verses 2, 11, and 30. So let's see if I can remember that. 2, 11, and 30. Well, I forgot the chapter. 14, 2, 11, 30. Numbers 14, 2, 11, 30. Numbers 14, 2, 11, 30. 14:2 that says, "And all the children of Israel murmured against Moses and Aaron, and the whole congregation said to them, If only we had died in the land of Egypt, or only if we had died in this wilderness." You see how they just continue to throw things back up in God's face. And then also, what was the other one? 2, 4, and 30. Y'all not helping me. 2, 11, and 30. So 11 and 30. 11 says, "And the Lord said to Moses, How long will these people reject me? And how long will they not believe me with all the signs which I have performed among them?" And that is true. All those things that God had done, and they still cannot believe and trust in God. You think God was going to bring them all that long ways and not provide for their needs? And even in our own lives, you think God has brought us so far to forget us now? He's not like man. And then in 30 it says, "Except for Caleb and the son of Jephunneh and Joshua the son of Nun, you shall by no means enter the land which I swore I would make you dwell in." And so Joshua and Caleb are the only ones, from that little generation that were going to the promised land. Because why? They never doubted. They believed. Believing is something. Believing in faith go hand in hand. Believing in faith go hand in hand. God's not going to deal with that unbelief. Okay, let's go back to 78 and let's look at line 18. "And they tested God in their heart by asking for the food of their fancy." We just read about that. 19. "Yes, they spoke against God. They said, Can God prepare a table in the wilderness?" Wow. Wow. And now this sends us back to, sends us to Numbers 11:4. Numbers 11:4. that says, now the mixed multitude who were among them yielded to intense craving. So the children of Israel also wept again and said, who will give us meat to eat? You know, I'm smiling, and I'm gonna have to pause on this one right here. Well, I may read the other little thing, but let me read this other little thing, and then I'll pause, because I guess they're probably trying to start a little something. But anyway, let's go to 20 and Numbers 20 verse 3. That says, and the people contended with Moses and spoke, saying, if only we had died when our brethren died before the Lord. Wow. Just putting God to the test. And then look at Numbers 21:5. And the people spoke against God and against Moses. Why have you brought us up out of Egypt to die in the wilderness? For there is no food and no water, and our soul loathes this worthless bread. So that our soul detests this worthless bread. And so they were complaining about the manna that God had provided. And what I was smiling about earlier was that when they was crying for meat, that just reminded me of some black people. They like to have their meat. All right, anyway. And I guess some white people too. I guess it was like, and no, I'm not racist. I'm just saying, I am black and I can talk about black people. All right. Anyway, so let's break here and then we'll pick it up wherever.